Good morning, everybody. What a great group that we have here today. So for the next 1 hour, I think we're going to try and have a fun and engaging conversation about where retail is going here in the region. What I'd like to suggest is that we try and have an open conversation as much as possible. I'll provide some questions and some comments to an individual, and then if other people have any questions or comments, just chip in and follow on. Equally, if you have any questions for me, then by all means ask me as well. And if there are any questions that I pose in ignorance that you're not comfortable answering, then just say pass and we'll move on. Yeah, make sense? Maybe to start with Shehim, you in your retail business, you clearly have a food component, a general merchandise component, electronics component, etc. Can you say something about the differences of consumer behavior that you've seen in these parts of your business in the past, let's say, 12 months?
Thank you for having me here, and thank you, SRF Saudi Retail Forum, for the opportunity. There are certain nuances to the customer behavior in this part of the world. When we look at the Saudi retail industry as a whole, and when you compare with other GCC countries in the West, out of the total consumption, what is happening in Saudi Arabia, currently 50% happen in organized retail, that is in modern trade. 50% of that is happening only in the unorganized sector. When you look at the 10 decades back, when Lulu as an organization entered Saudi market, 20% used to happen in organized sector, and 80% unorganized sector. From 2010 to 2023, there is a 30% conversion. And when you look at the Vision 2030 document that drives the country forward, page number 57, they talk about retail also. There is a vision for retail. So they want to take the organized retail consumption to 80%. What is 80%? 80% organized retail consumption is what is happening in UAE, 85% what is happening in US, 85 to 90% is what is happening in UK also. So this is the migration that is going to happen in Saudi Arabia. So $125 billion consumption, 50% to 80% journey is bound to happen. As a retailer, what we have to do, we just have to tie our bogey to the government, sit cozy, this migration is bound to happen. That is the nuances what we see in Saudi as a specific, if that answers the question.
Wonderful, thank you. And Neeraj, if I could ask you on the fashion and lifestyle domain, any specific behavioral differences that you see there?
Thanks, Neeraj. So I would say on the fashion side, there are a few trends which are evolving. And being in the international brands business, one of the big trends that we see is around building communities. So today, most of the brands, whether it's Lululemon or likes of those, we see building communities, and that plays a significant role. The second piece of the trend that we are seeing is on the customization. That's becoming a big thing. Some of the brands that we do means this, like I take a simple example of Crocs, they do those simple gibbets. This contributes like 1/4 of the business, which was not the case 5 years back. And more you are seeing those things, whether it's with Levi's, the Denim Doctor, or so on. And the third thing that I would say means, which is picking up, though in the early days, is on the sustainability. The consumer today, and there was a recent research which said means that the consumer is willing to pay 30 to 40% additional premium in case of the sustainable product. So that's another trend which is picking up. We are seeing every brand in our portfolio also launching one or the other capsule of sustainability. We at Apparel Group have launched our own private label called F5 Global. So that's a trend which is also picking up. I would say largely these are the three big trends that we see.
Really interesting. Thank you for that. And just following on from that, the sustainability trend that you described, what we see in Europe, for example, is that consumers find sustainability very important when you ask them, but they're not necessarily yet prepared to pay more money for sustainability outcomes. Do you see the same here, or is there more willingness?
Very similar.
Very similar.
Very similar over here as well. But again, I always say means this is an investment from medium to long term.
Yep.
Sustainability is not an option because the Gen Zs or the Gen Alphas tomorrow, the way they will shop or they will associate with the brands or the organizations will be very different.
Yeah.
So it's no more an option. So every organization has to move in that direction. And sustainability just not for us means in terms of the product, but it's also the processes and everything else, the ecosystem and the mindset. And that's what we are driving at the Apparel Group.
Yep. Oh.
If I may add here that, yes, sustainability, as my colleague said, customers here in Saudi Arabia are not willing to pay extra cost. However, we are seeing emerging trends in their understanding of sustainability and how important it is for brands to start investing in sustainable products, especially that it's starting to be a very important factor or making a brand of choice for Generation Z. So if we are targeting those future heavy spenders, then the story should start from today. And I would add, in Saudi Arabia specifically, social responsibility is even bigger. So sustainability is starting to become a trend, but social responsibility is very important for the Saudi customers. This is how we are building brand loyalty, storytelling, which increases the emotional engagement and connection with the brands.
That's really interesting. Mohamed?
I'd like to add one thing as well related to the sustainability. I think it should be a joint responsibility between retailers, producers, customers, and I want to talk about the involvement of the government too, because the start is always difficult, and we retailers, we need as well to have this joint collaboration between, if I may, the four entities that would actually drive the sustainability agenda moving forward. So the involvement of the government by instilling actually regulations, policies, paving the ways, and even subsidizing sometimes, I would argue, make it very easy for customers to accept.
Yeah, I understand that. Go ahead. This is working well.
Hello? Yeah, I'd like just to add one point regarding sustainability. In the latest PwC consumer insight that has been conducted, actually 20% acknowledged that they are willing to pay between 11 and 20% more on the price just for them to maintain or to achieve sustainability. So today, what we are doing, we have to always keep our ears open to listen to the people. And that's why everybody was talking about the importance of social media and what's happening with the consumer thoughts and behavior that are always changing. And we should follow them. And that's why today, even for us, I'm an off-price retailer. We introduce ourselves as a sustainable solution, creating a new life cycle for the branded products. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a really good and useful contribution. Again, in Europe, we see it is not just the premium brands that are starting to really move into sustainable propositions, but also a lot of the discount brands are realizing that that's a position that they can take in. Nicki, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, just a small note as well. From the employees' perspective, we've definitely seen a lot more employees moving to companies that are sustainable. They also are saying straight away to us as recruiters that we're looking for, more conscious companies that are actually, seeking out more sustainable endeavors.
So I think, just to add one thing, I think here where the government's role will take place, into encouraging or producing rules and regulations to really encourage sustainability. And this we have seen lately, especially in Europe and the United States, whereby lots of brands used to destroy their product for them not to sell it at a lower price. And today, because of the regulations, because governments listen to the people, today they have new rules to forbid them from destroying it. And of course, this is for the off-price channel, is a very win-win scenario for us.
Yeah, I can imagine. Thank you. Go ahead.
I have a slightly contrary view on this. This is why I raised my point. I think nowadays the inflation is in the 40 years high. So I think people are caught between affordability and sustainability. So there is the inflation is crept into the wallets of the people. So if you look at Europe, for example, the only retailer that grew in last 12 months, sparing the inflationary influence of it, is the discounter. Online did not grow, conservative retailers did not grow, but discounters grew. This shows, there is a tug of war between sustainable jargons, this economy, environment friendly, and affordability. People have to eat end of the day. So this is my opinion on sustainability.
Very good point. Go ahead.
I will divert a little bit and talk about the change within my industry has happened in the last few years. I think the young generation, they're very bright this part of the world because they come from a rich environment and they have seen the world, so they are very creative. As you rightly mentioned, on the Western world, the business is going toward more technology and online business. So the youngsters here with the big imagination, they have made a big change within our industry for a couple of reasons. The main reason that these newcomers on the jewelry business, either in the creation, designing, business, they're finding a lot of unwelcome atmosphere on the shopping malls. And they find themselves being pushed away. You're either a big brand or you have years of history, you are welcome to certain area. Otherwise, you have, so they have abortioned their possibility of creating a brand and so on. So what the other way was, contrary to what's happening within the region here, that the e-commerce is coming down, I have seen it within my business that these youngsters, they have capital, some of them, and they want to explore on the absence of welcoming from the shopping malls and the front of the retail. They find the other way around for them, cheaper, more innovative, and much faster. And they went in a big way to the e-commerce. And they are successful, and they are really, some of them are doing extremely well. So I can see, yes, other business might be coming down on the e-commerce, but within certain area, I think we will see a lot of either two things. Either the landlords, the shopping malls, change their mentality and start thinking how to build the trust for these people to become a brand eventually. Or they will be pushing again to go more aggressive on the e-commerce. Thank you.
Thank you for that. It poses an interesting question, which we touched on in our conversations earlier. With as the rise of modern retail and big brands comes in and so on, how to I guess both enable that while protect and strengthen what makes Saudi strong and what makes kind of the legacy brands, local brands that made Saudi strong. How to find the balance?
I think we have got, if we put the GCC reason, you could see from every sector a well-known successful brand. But there is one link which is very absent. Grooming the employee, what is the point? We don't see, we see big malls, we see big institutes, the biggest brand, biggest high-end brands here, but we haven't seen one institute to groom and bring the youngsters to become part of the retail. It's not a simple thing. This needs a lot of efforts. All the audience here, everybody here, should start thinking how we are going to create, not a 5,000 dirham, a job to satisfy a company that they have done the Saudization or the Emirati. That's not the right thing at all. I think the right thing, there should be much more effort from the international group to the big local groups to the government to everybody to start sitting down and says, okay, bring experts from around the world. What should be if we have built a theory 2030 and on the Emirates we have built, everybody is doing so well. But what about creating the jobs for these people? We need to see more serious stages of retail institutes. This person, this young lady, as they mentioned one of the audience earlier on, she has done a medical thing. They need to have a career. They need to have a diploma. They need to have a certificate, a high degree. And I think the focus, you know, we are a big consumer around the world. You mentioned it yourself, quasi quarter trillion in Saudi Arabia in the next few years. How many institutes we have seen? Where are we growing? Only individual companies, either they are large or they are medium. They are the one who is doing the local training. But where is the government and all us put together to create and make the person going to work knowing that in a few years he will be an entrepreneur, he will be a company manager, he will start his own business. And I call upon, you know, the reason I fly from Dubai here is to say these few words. And I think we should not only think of making money and the larger group become larger. I think we have to think about our nation. On the Gulf, we have got the youngest generation, and they all have finished part of education, so they need to be looking forward, either to become business, entrepreneur, or a proper training within the industry.
If I may add here, for sure, brick and mortar and e-com will be coexisting in Saudi Arabia. One will not replace the other. But to answer your question, retailers need to invest in what matters to customers in the stores, which is customer service. I think we have a great potential and opportunities that are not tapped yet in our shopping mall and all the stores, where customer service can be really uplifted. And currently all the customers, like the journey have changed post-COVID. If we recall in the last 5 years, customers used to browse online in order to search for products, but they didn't shop online. They would go and shop from the store. Today, the experience is different. They go to the store to browse the products, make the connection with the brand, understand the journey, but probably loyalty and retention is happening online. So they need to work together, and we need as retailers to invest in customer service, and this is starting by investing in learning and development of our talents in the stores, ensuring that they know how to communicate the brand values, the product benefits, how to make the customer feel more comfortable in the shop.
Really good point, thank you. Go ahead.
Let me go back to the basic question, is, you know, the idea how we can really maintain local brands while all these international brands are coming and taking over. Actually, what we have to think of, really, how the retail groups can really produce initiatives to really promote local brands. And it's very simple. If you own, of course, there are restrictions. If you are representing a certain brand, you're not allowed to put other brands inside. But like I talk about ourselves, for example, we'll be more than happy and more than willing to add some local Saudi brands to our portfolio of product offerings that we have in the stores. And this way, I think, we'll be encouraging the Saudi product or the Saudi brand and trying to sell. Even the government, and it's not a matter by protectionism, success is achieved. The more the market is open, the more successful the market will be. But today, the government can encourage also groups into maybe by offering tax cuts maybe for such initiatives, and everyone will follow.
Actually, given that I'm the CEO of Blooming, a Saudi brand, we see the increase in the desire of homegrown because the Saudi brands are more and more understanding, you know, the fashion trends. We are very agile and fast in responding to customers' needs. And we see even the customers being very proud of shopping inside Saudi shops or Saudi brands that provide an international standard and experience. So yes, the competition will be strong for sure between international and homegrown, but I think the values and the agility of the homegrown brands will be in favor of them.
What I would, you know, just to be on a safer side, what I said earlier, we need this to be in practical, not only tick a box, you know, all these big brands with all, they say, yes, we are doing this, but it's not serious. We need to see on the battlefield, we need to see the most successful 100 brands in all sectors on the Gulf. I would call upon Retail Me. There should be a session probably in December or in next year. Let's have one session about not the international brands. We all live with them day in and day. We would like to know about ourselves, what kind of creation we have done on the retail for the last 20 or 15 years. So I would call, and probably yourself, you will help us to do a proper setup for that platform to identify where we are for grooming these groups, the local designers, and in every field, local brands within the Gulf region will be really
useful, and I'd love to take part in that. Really important conversation, clearly, if you listen to the passion on the panel here. I'd like to jump to another point, which I think is also really important, and maybe just asking maybe you specifically, what can you say about the role of the woman in the retail transformation that's happening right now, and to what extent, as consumer behavior is changing, is that 50-50 male-female, or is it actually more the female consumer that's driving that change?
If I may understand the question, it's doing what? Starting the business or being on the business?
No, very good. So no, specifically on the consumer behavior. So the transactions that are happening, the people that are going into shops to transact.
Oh, there's a big difference. There is a big difference. The women of today, they are much more independent. They are more, you know, they reward themselves, not on the past. And she demands, and she says, I would like to see this change happening. I would like to see a person more colorful shop. And so the demanding and the female present, particularly on the Gulf, I think it's been a big change. And that helped us as a retailer to improve our business. And they start saying, I want to see a different range. I want to see a range for gifting. I want to see a gift for fashion. And so they are in a big way dictating and demanding to fulfill their needs and their ambition. So that help us, the retailer, and they demand a lot on the consumer and the customer service and the after-sale service and the sustainability, and all this is becoming an education by default to us as a retailer because they are so much independent and they know exactly what they want. Thank you.
Wonderful. May?
Yeah, I believe in the fashion industry for years, women were like key targeted customer, but today they are decision makers given that they have entered strongly into the labor market. They have their own financial independence as well. So if in the past they used to be a consultant in the purchasing process, today they can be simply a decision maker. And I think the brands should also have more ladies into their management team. So if we talk about designers, we can see many female Saudi designers in Saudi Arabia, but we would love to see more Saudi ladies into the management, into different departments of the business, because they know what female customers would know. They have
mics seem to have stopped.
Test, yeah. So to have their voice inside the organization as well, across all the different departments, not only in design, but also supply chain, marketing, etc.
Really exciting. Nicki, question for you then. Does the 16-year-old or the 18-year-old girl now dream of becoming the CEO of a retail business in Saudi?
I think so, yes. I think a lot of things have shifted for females, especially in Saudi and the Middle East in general, to be honest. And with the rise of Gen Z coming into the workforce, you know, very ambitious, very entrepreneurial. I don't want to say kids, but, you know, I call them kids as they're coming up. And I think that, you know, you're going to definitely see a lot more, you know, in terms of designers, especially in fashion, or even entrepreneurs within the retail space. Yeah.
Really exciting. Mohamed, you wanted to?
Yeah, if we talk about the grocery business, retail, so some industries are by nature, you know, female women tend to favor working in these industries, fashion, for example, or jewelry. When it comes to grocery, I'd like to clarify a misperception. So our business has been always perceived as very, you know, masculine driven because it requires lots of physical efforts. But actually, it's absolutely not the case for us in Majid al-Futtaim Retail, Carrefour in Saudi Arabia. So 50% of our population are Saudis, and 50% of the Saudis are actually female. And one of the very, you know, moments that I personally, as an executive, feel very proud of is to see store managers, female store managers, coming actually willingly and asking us, you know, the executives, I'd like to have a chance to run a store. That is something unique, I would say, in Saudi Arabia, and in particular in a business like ours, the grocery business. Because again, the perception in people's mind, customers or even professionals, that this business is very masculine. This is not the case, particularly in Saudi Arabia. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Really good clarification, thank you. And I have to say that I even recognize that in Europe as well, right? It has tended to be quite an operational, grunty industry, let's say. But two of my clients, one is the best grocery business in the Benelux, is run by a massively inspirational female, and the fastest growing physical retail company in the world right now is also run by a very, very strong, powerful, inspirational lady. Yeah, Neeraj.
So basically, I would like to add to my colleagues that, you know, actually the first supermarket in the world opened by a female. And retail as an industry, you know, if you look at the C-suite and the boardroom, retail is the industry where the gender balance is the highest. So 35% of the boardrooms on the retail industry are represented by female. In addition to that, in Saudi Arabia, as Lulu, we have a shop in this part of the world where it's completely run by female. And, you know, if you go to MISC, for example, that empowers the youth of Saudi Arabia, there is a separate window for entrepreneurship, female entrepreneurship. And these kind of indications give us, you know, this is, like you said, it is not a masculine environment in retail, you know. This can be, our shop in Saudi Arabia, this managed by girls shows that is one of the most performing shop for us in Saudi Arabia. 85% of the discretionary spend by 2030 will be done by female. So it needs to be represented in our side also, not only from the consumer side, but by the retailer side also. It has to be represented. There is no other choice.
I would like to give an example from our company, Blooming, where we were established in 2017. We have today some of our sales force who established the business with us. And currently they are store managers, area managers, loss and prevention managers. We are coaching those young leaders to become one day into a CEO. Why not? I love your question. Because they do have the ambition for it. They have the willingness. All they need is coaching from leadership into how to communicate, how to focus, how detailed they should go into the retail industry, and being empathetic, because that's also a part of the role of the CEO. But I can really see that in a couple of years, we will see those sales force becoming leaders of companies in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, really good, really exciting. Thank you for sharing that. We have 20 minutes left, so maybe let's pivot to another topic. I'd like to just have a chat about digital in particular. And so if you look, for example, with a lot of the conversations that I have locally with my retail clients, an important shift that they're going on is how do I complement being a grocer and having the leadership and the culture of a grocer or a physical retailer with the need to increasingly start acting and thinking like a digitech player. Anybody who feels inclined to have a comment on that?
I would, if you don't mind, I mean, sorry to the others. I'll give you a life story. I have one of our groom person. She's a charming young girl, probably 22, 23, high education. And she came to me for manufacturing, hair designing, and so on. And I was impressed because she's so much courage, and she doesn't want to be a designer. She wants to be an entrepreneur. She wants to be a businesswoman. And then she told me, you know what? Why don't you and we go to a partnership? I say, yes, to do what? She says, if you put your platform and you go and sell within the digital, it's not going to make a big difference to you because you have so many stores, so people, why they should look at your platform of digital? And she came with an idea, an international name, just a theory. It's not, there is no base in New York or any part of Europe. She just created an international, you know, a Westerner name, and she recruited very, very few number of people, probably 3, 4 females put together, and she started her platform. In 3 years' time, she's doing more than multi-million-dollar business with her platform. She has an accountant, she has got 3, 4 people doing all the digital promotion and so on. And I will never dream to put my name next to her because she is she's the one who's going to grow. I'm not going to grow as far as she is. So I think there is a big chance for people to come and have some GVs or some partnership with existing companies with a different name which doesn't link. If she link herself to me, she will not do. So I think, yes, there is a big chance. Thank you. Sorry.
Excellent. Sorry, Toufic.
Yeah, I just want to discuss about going digital. Today, going digital is not really going into competition with brick and mortar. It's the way how we pursue the digital transformation that's taking place. Actually, we have to cope, we have to understand, and we have to really be pioneers into change. And always, change is the key for progress. Today, everyone is using all tools of technology. And these are tools that can be used with us, by us, or can be used against us. So today, the whole idea of the omni-channel is to complete the experience of the consumer from the store to the online, back and forth. So we should embrace technology. We should always take it to our favor. Today, with the artificial intelligence that is taking place, close your eyes and imagine tomorrow you have Einstein in your office. Take another blink and imagine having 10 Einsteins in your office. So today, it's not like the story is already there. The storm, sorry, is already there. Either we use the wind from the storm to really push us at our wingtail to push us forward, or your competitor will be using it against you to take your market share. So today, embracing all of these, never be afraid of the artificial intelligence. We can use it. We can make our business better. We never know where we're gonna be in 20, 25 years. We're talking about customer service. Maybe people will be going to the retail stores and will be greeted by robots that are enabled by AI, that they can read your eye print, and they can really know how to approach you and to have to talk to you and how to give you the best experience possible. Everything is possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Mohamed.
If I can...
Sorry.
Go ahead, Mohamed, I'll let.
So I was actually listening to or watching your presentation, and I saw one of the 12 shifts that are reshaping the retail industry globally was about channels. And I liked the acronym you used, which is phygital, so that's a combined word between physical and digital. And when it comes to grocery, as a business, again, we don't enjoy a lot of high margin in what we do, very much razor-thin margin, which makes our operations very sophisticated. I don't wanna use the word complicated, but sophisticated. And digital makes it even more sophisticated. But I don't think it's an option anymore for all the industries, and in particular groceries, to debate whether to have digital or not. 10 years back, I would have enjoyed this debates whether to have digital or not. I don't think it's the case anymore, because we simply serve customers who are not the same customers like before. And I always refer to this example, my 12-year-old daughter. I really struggle to take her with me to do shopping in the physical stores, and she goes every time, why waste your time? Do your orders online. And the 12-year-old kid now is the future shopper of everything. So I would say it's not an option anymore. It's for us how to do digital in a professional, sustainable, and strive to do it even profitable business so that we can grow it even further.
Thank you. Neeraj.
And to add, Mohammed, digital, while we are talking about the online commerce, but for us, digital is a very wide area, right? Everything today, we are all on this table, and everybody in the room is a technology company, right? From the digital marketing, even when the customer enters the store, to the beacon technology or whichever technology, you can identify that consumer. We do the customized marketing according to the customer, right? His preferred choices. We do the products according to that. So everything is digital in our world today. At the Apparel Group, I'll tell you a few more initiatives that we have done, some in the space of Genie.ae and otherwise also. So first of all, we launched the phygital store also, the first of its kind in the region, which is a marriage of the digital and the brick and mortar world. But to add on that means we have also launched the transfer optimization, the price optimization, markdown optimization. Few years back, these were all done manually. Today, they are all digital. So all the organizations are evolving or upping the game to the next level, because data, the amount of data that we collect, right? Somebody mentioned about the data lake this morning. Right? Today, data lake consists data from your brick and mortar, from your online world, from your third-party retailers, from the e-commerce, from the various social media handles. So we are all in this game, how to delight our customer by providing the right product and giving up that service. So that's where the world is going.
Really useful, thank you. And just to touch on the phygital concept, I think one of the ironies is also that as we become more digital in our retail, kind of this realization that one of the key reasons why, as a consumer, I would still bother coming to your store is the human, and making sure that we continue investing in the quality of that human being, offering that human experience, I think is, again, there have been lots of retailers who learned painful lessons in doing that wrong. Any perspectives from any of you on that?
Yeah, I think this is the differentiation that brands will have despite the growth of AI and us taking it more on board, even in our brick and mortars. But the customers are always looking for the personalization, they're looking for the human factor. We've seen and read studies where the ChatGPT or like the chats on the websites that are automated are not connected enough to the customers, so they are not leading to conversions as humans do. So investing in the talents and the learning and development, and instead of replacing their roles by AI, shifting their roles into something that has more sense to the younger customers.
True. What I'd like to add as well is the human part is absolutely fantastic phenomena that we have to keep on emphasizing, and in grocery in particular. A lot of data science involved, or artificial intelligence algorithms involved in, what to display, what to put on shelves, what to sell, what to list, what to delist. But that will never be, that will never surpass or overcome the human touch of it. So, for example, I was reading a few articles a couple of days back about how would the store of the future look like in the grocery. And the first thing that the report says is that no customer would want to go and shop in the store because he or she is missing the self-checkout experience. No, I would like to go to the store to have this interaction, right, with the associates who are actually welcoming me with smiles, with nice gestures, and so on. So this artificial intelligence, in my view, should really complement the human touch. And the minute that we have a combined decision between our expertise and the artificial intelligence, rest assured that this is absolutely the right decisions for the customers.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So when the first supermarket was introduced to the world, there were individual people, sales associate attending the customers. So when customers come to the shop, sales associate go and what do you want? So they pick it from their stock and give it to them. It did not sustain. It had to close down. It was so manpower intensive. Then the supermarket was reintroduced, calling it self-service. So people come to the store, they pick by themselves. Now by online, that is this self-service supermarket is a concept that sustained 100 years till today. Now, what we are doing now by online, we are not only taking the requirement of the customer, but we are taking that to their doorstep. The online is a good thing, but how to do online commerce profitably. So less than 3% of the total online players are profitable. 97% of the online businesses are still bleeding. But this is where I'd like to join hands with my colleague. Collectively, if we can roll out AI in place of this to reduce the manpower intensity of it, it could be profitably run. But currently, we do not have a role model, or we do not have a simulation that says this is the way the online grocery business needs to run. So the profitability aspect, when it comes to profitability, the online business remains as a mystery.
I spoke with a CFO from a grocer in Europe probably 2 years ago, and his way of describing it was that online retail is like the paradox. I see that all my customers are going there. I see that if I go there, I don't make any money, but I can't afford to not go where my customers are. Hence, I need to figure out what the hell to do with that at a later point. Yeah.
So when UK's top 4 retailers, one of the CEO retired. In the retirement interview, he was asked, what would you like to rewrite? He said, had I given an option to rewrite what I have done, I would have never given an option for a home delivery. That wouldn't have been introduced. This is what he said. And look at the data. Now, top 4 UK retailers, the 4th one is a discounter. This is first time in the 50 years of UK history, such an affluent community, UK. The 4th one is a retailer, and it doesn't have online option. He has a curbstone option, but he doesn't deliver. Now he creeps into the top 4 retailers in UK. This is where the world is now. 40 years, the highest inflation we are going through.
So I think looking at things through a financial lens only, in my view, is really a mistake. Because again, this is not an option that we are debating. This is the future of all the industries, in particular the grocery. We have to do it, and the funny part here is how to do it in really a profitable way, so that we don't miss the train. And there are so many good examples of retailers around the world doing this in a profitable manner, maybe not generating the same level of profitability from the bricks and mortar store, but doing it in a profitable way. So again, it is not really an option. It is the future of the grocery, and it's the future of the retail. The question is about how do we transform our business digitally in a profitable way. And you know, it depends on the contributors, on the executives, on the organizational members to make that happen.
Very well put.
I think digital is inevitable. We have to, and we have to improve it. But on the same time, we have more responsibility to improve the quality of our salespeople. Can you imagine yourself going through immigration by just putting your passport and you go through electronic gate, or you come to somebody and they greet you, or she greet you with welcome to Saudi Arabia and so on. I'm sure the difference in my industry, people go to the store because they can have the feeling of the purchase. So both of them are important, equally important, but improving our quality of salespeople and giving them more international standard training is the most important in today's conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have 4 minutes left. So I'd like to maybe close with the question. We've talked about the shift that retail is undergoing. We've talked about the complexity of online, the complexity of the profitability within that, etc. There are, I don't know if there's people here, but there are many people who dream of being like you, right? Of being a local retail CEO or a local retail leader. What advice would you give to those individuals about the skills or the mindset that they need to develop to be here, let's say, 10 years from now? Who wants to go first?
I want to go first. I think the first advice is to sleep less. Sleep less. Sleep a lesser number of hours. I think, listen, so I had the privilege to work with great mentors in my career. So if there is one advice that I would give myself and my colleagues, is really to have this owner's mindset. Work in the organization as an owner of the organization, and then ask yourself the question, would you do it if that was your company or not? If the answer is yes, go ahead. If the answer is no, don't. So this owner's mindset is really the golden advice I would give myself and my colleagues.
Very good.
Yeah, I love that because it's so true. The advice would be, if you are the owner of the company and you see any problem, even if it's not yours, you will jump in and try to solve it. So this is exactly what Mohamed said, and I think that's the success of, or having this mindset will make you not only a CEO, but a great leader for sure. In the retail sector, definitely giving more details, being attentive to detail is very important. Going back to stores, listening to customers, not closing any door, like listening to everyone. Every single statement said by a sales team or a customer can really make a huge difference. Sometimes innovation can be brought by a customer or even a saleswoman. These are very important. Being looking for a mentor inside the business, I think, will also help them. Like a leader they look up to will support them into going up the ladder and becoming one day in our place.
Other thoughts?
I think love what you want to do, feel for it, work for somebody that you get paid to learn, so you're gaining experience without putting it from your pocket, and then start putting some money with a few others, or if you can afford yourself, and start your own business after experiencing it. And don't be scared, just do it.
So I was to say that only, be bold. So the way we are seeing things, whether in Saudi Arabia or in the wider region, and what we have seen, the transformation, just be bold and think big.
Yes, something you can grow, do it.
Don't be afraid from problems. They are the...
Define a business which can grow in multiples. So today world with the digitals, it can grow with very small money. In the past 20 years to get somebody to promote a product, you need $1 million or $2 million or $3 million. Today, with small money, with $10,000, you can promote your product and so on. So today's world is much easier than it was. Identify, select some business that can grow big. Thank you.
Shehim?
I think my chairman says retail business is all about people. You can manage people, you can understand people, you are empathetic to them, you can easily manage retail. This is what we think about retail. And you know, retail is the largest employer after government. So anybody can be in that. If you have a career path, you can step up to the top ladder. You have to understand people on employee side as well as the customer side as well.
Wonderful. Nicki, final thought from you?
So from my perspective, so I own my own company. I'm a female leader in the Middle East. We're all female, so 12 women. So from my perspective, in terms of tips, I would just say, you know, network like crazy. Don't be scared to disrupt the norm, you know. Who knows of like all female recruitment agencies, you know. I always kept it like this for a reason. And, you know, just be like not afraid to ask for help from people, reach out and try and be different and go off your gut feeling.
Wonderful. We are over time. To close down, there's a few really important words that I heard from all of you. Be and think like an owner. Retail is detail. Don't forget about the detail. Find a mentor, somebody that can inspire you, challenge you. Love what you do was another, I think, a really important one. Be bold, be entrepreneurial, and disrupt. And first and foremost, also just be a leader of your people. Thank you very much I enjoyed the conversation very much. I hope you did. I hope you did. Thank you very much.
Another fantastic panel. Thank you very much. We are just going to grab a quick photograph. If I could, I think if we can step in front of the tables, that would be fantastic.